So good morning everyone, welcome to Raj Malhotra IAS. So guys, we are here about to start the session, and the PDF for today's session has already been uploaded. You can download the PDF. तो अभी जो है हम इस सेशन को शुरू करेंगे. Okay, let me just share the link with the students. I hope you are doing good in your life. Stay motivated. चलिए, so sufficient number of people have already joined us. Chetu, Sanjay, Pooja, Suraj, Pranjal, Devansh, Mohit, Pradeep, good morning. Let's start the session. Let's see what exactly is there for us in today's newspaper. देखते हैं आज के अखबार में हमारे लिए क्या खास है. So let's see what exactly is there for us. Let's start it. चलिए. So here we have this statement. Like again, we are getting these things from Vedas. So this extract has been taken from Yajurved. It says that truth cannot be suppressed and always is the ultimate victor. Truth cannot be suppressed and always is the ultimate victor. So we have many examples from our life, from our Indian freedom struggle, which can show you that at the end of the day it was the Satyameva Jayate. सत्य की सदैव विजय होती है. ओके, ये मैसेज हमें लेके चलना होता है. नाउ द पॉइंट हियर इज दिस, हाउ डू यू डिफाइन ट्रुथ? द ट्रुथ कैन बी डिफाइंड or can be linked with different aspects. It can be linked with honesty as well. It can be linked with integrity that we have. It can be linked with our way of life. So if you have a clean way of life, if you have ethical way of life, definitely at the end you will be at the advantage. Advantage आपको ही होगी आपकी लाइफ के अंदर. So this is the message that we have to understand here. Sometimes we have to defend the truth. We have to put up an effort. आपको effort भी डालना पड़ेगा, आपको fight करना पड़ेगा truth के लिए. But the final result will be you will be victorious. Truth will define what's your aim. आपकी लाइफ का एम क्या है? Is your aim truthful or is your aim in line with the materialism? आपकी लाइफ का एम क्या materialism के अराउंड है, या you want to fight for justice, you want to fight for truth? This is what will define whether you will be achieving your goal or not. Materialism की एक लिमिट है, that will limit your capacity. But if you have bigger goal, larger goal, that you are fighting for justice in your life, never ever you will be stopping. आप कभी भी stop नहीं करोगे, you will keep on working on yourself. This is what we need to understand here. Okay, so truth is also related with the justice. Truth हमारा justice के साथ भी related है. This is what we have to fight for in our life. So always be truthful to yourself. We do expect the civil servants to be truthful to the nation, to the constitution of the India, and to themselves, that whatever they are doing, their action will, you can say, decide the fate of future of this country. So your action should be guided by truth. This is what we have to mention here. So let's start this session. Let's see what exactly is there for us in today's newspaper. So as you can see on the screen, Supreme Court order release of all the life convicts of Rajiv Gandhi. Okay, so what Supreme Court observed? Supreme Court stated this particular thing, that immediately the convicts who were there, they needs to be freed. जो भी convicts थे आप उनको release करेंगे. Major point that Supreme Court looked into is that in 2018 the Tamil Nadu cabinet recommended their premature release to the governor, and that particular issue was still pending. तो गवर्नर साहब ने 2018 में ही गवर्नर साहब को इंस्ट्रक्ट एक तरीके से एडवाइस किया गया था बाय द काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर बाय द कैबिनेट दैट these particular convicts they should be released. Okay, but that matter went to the court, and here Supreme Court is now deciding what's the fate, and Supreme Court stated that in this particular case governor was bound by advice of the cabinet. That's the point here. Okay, so governor sahab, he was bound by the advice of cabinet, and he should have allowed them to, you can say, move out of the jail. But instead of that, governor, instead of taking a call, had passed on their file to the center. तो गवर्नर साहब ने खुद डिसीजन लेने की बजाय क्या किया, वो फाइल जो है वो सेंटर को पास कर दी. तो नाउ things have been settled. Supreme Court has said that these particular convicts need to be freed. Okay, this is what the point is. And other question that you have to understand, now people are not happy with this particular development. Some of the people, they are saying that they killed the prime minister of this country. Okay, former prime minister of this country. See, the point here is this: what type of judicial system do we have in this country? Now we have reformative justice. हमारे यहाँ पे reformative justice है. Okay, they were already behind the bar from last 30 years. 30 साल से वो जेल में हैं. They would have reformed. Okay, so considering this aspect as well, it appears to be right if they are given, you can say, they are allowed to move out of the court. They are given pardon by the governor. So that's the point that you have to understand. तो इसके अंदर कुछ ऐसा नहीं है, कुछ injustice नहीं हुआ है. Okay, so this is the major point that you will be looking into. Now let's move to the next point. आगे चलते हैं. So center silence on the judicial posting condemnable. This is what Supreme Court is saying. Okay, so it's a major issue. Now we do have a system of collegium here. So collegium will give the names, okay, to the government, to the president, and president is basically going to appoint the people. President primarily means here we have a role of union government. यहाँ पे बेसिकली पीछे किसका हाथ चलता है, यूनियन गवर्नमेंट का हाथ चलता है, बिकॉज द प्रेसिडेंट हैज टू एक्ट ऑन द एड एंड एडवाइस ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट. वी ऑलरेडी नो दैट. ओके, सो द पॉइंट हियर इज दिस: सुप्रीम कोर्ट इज ब्लेमिंग द गवर्नमेंट दैट they are neither taking the decision, because if the government is not happy with those particular names, they can write it back to the Supreme Court that Supreme Court should relook into the matter. But neither they are doing this nor they are approving the appointment. They are just delaying the appointment. Okay, कि सिर्फ appointment को delay करने का काम चलता है, and this is how it is problematic. And there the Supreme Court of the country is not happy with this particular development. Already, if we look into the pendencies that are the vacancies that are there in High Court, okay, अगर आप High Court की vacancies देखेंगे, so nearly 30 to 40% seats are vacant. This is the vacancy that you have to, you can say, fill on time. Without doing that, the pendency of cases is going to remain huge. This is what is happening right now. On the other hand, appointment should have been done in a swift manner, but here the government is neither, you can say, sending those particular recommendations back to the Supreme Court कि relook करें, nor they are approving them. This is what is happening here. So they are just withholding the names recommended by the collegium, and that's the problematic part here. So here in the multiple times in the earlier judgment, Supreme Court had said that if the government is going to behave like this, so Supreme Court might have to take some additional action on that. तो उसको लेके भी Supreme Court को कुछ action लेना पड़ेगा. Things are not clear. अभी भी कुछ क्लियर नहीं है कि क्या वो एक्शन होगा. मे बी द पॉइंट इज दिस: देयर हैव टू बी अ टाइम लिमिट विद इन विच गवर्नमेंट शुड रिस्पॉन्ड. टाइम लिमिट, व्हाट्स द टेक ऑफ गवर्नमेंट टू कम्युनिकेट बैक टू द सुप्रीम कोर्ट कि आपको कम्युनिकेट तो करना है कि आप एग्जैक्टली चाहते क्या हैं. दिस इज व्हाट द पॉइंट इज. ओके, सो हियर दिस इज व्हाट वी हैव हियर. नाउ विल मूव टू द editorial section. So in this editorial section, they are pointing towards that how this EWS judgment has some you can say faults. So they are pointing about one thing. So most common fault which is there, and lot of activists are basically writing that. So वो लोग सब लिख ही रहे हैं, वो ये कह रहे हैं कि the point is this: you are undermining the social inequality that is there in the country. The point is this, because this EWS judgment, okay, EWS 10% reservation is not for SC, ST, OBC. And their major point is that, like, if you are providing reservation on the economic grounds, why are you keeping this particular, you can say, these communities out of that particular reservation? This is what was problematic. And the Supreme Court has pointed out this thing. They said that we are just creating another subcategory. It's a other subcategory that the government has created, and that subcategory has been declared to be constitutional by the Supreme Court. वहाँ पे बात सिर्फ इतनी सी है, इससे ज़्यादा यहाँ पे कोई बात नहीं है. Court has categorically said that this is how we look into that, but definitely it was 3:2 judgment, and 2 you can say judges were having the dissent. So 2 judges जो हैं उससे इसको approve नहीं कर रहे थे. So that was the point, but at the end of the day this is the final take that they have, and this is what has been pointed out in this. They said that the heart of the right to equality, because here this right to equality is being undermined, that you are basically creating a category based on caste. आप caste के base पे category बना रहे हो, because the people belonging to ST, ST, OBC who are already getting reservation, they will not be able to avail the EWS quota. That's the point here, and this is what this editorial is saying, that this is the fault, this is the flaw in the judgment. Okay, कि आपने एक अलग से caste based group बनाया आपने, and you segregated a particular caste group. Now court has said for the first time in 7 decades, now this is the dissent, you can say, statement by Justice Bhatt. He says that you are sanctioning exclusion of a particular section, exclusion of that section that has been socially discriminated since history. आप एक ऐसे सेक्शन को बाहर कर रहे हो जिनके अगेंस्ट डिस्क्रिमिनेशन हुआ है पास्ट के अंदर. दिस इज व्हाट द जस्टिस भट्ट हैज पॉइंटेड आउट, and according to him it should not have been declared constitutional. Then they say that okay, mandate of this EWS judgment is like this, that seats reserved for EWS would only apply to citizen other than classes that are already eligible for reservation. This has been mentioned in your 103rd Constitution Amendment Act. So in this way the provision has been facilitated, that categorically within the constitution you made a provision that EWS will only for those who are not getting reservation in any other category. So it's another category that has been created, and it has been declared constitutional by the court. Okay, so this is what it was saying. Then other point was related to Indira Sani judgment. Now Indira Sani judgment, it was held by the court that economic status cannot serve as a sole criteria for identifying which section of people are qualified as backward class. Economic status is not the sole criteria, but Indira Sani judgment was based on the then constitutional scheme. कि उस type की constitutional scheme, उस time की constitutional scheme was like this. Okay, there was no provision of economic based reservation earlier. पहले इकोनॉमिक बेस्ड बैकवर्डनेस हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में डिफाइन नहीं थी, बट हेयर विद 103rd कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अमेंडमेंट एक्ट इट वाज मेड क्लियर एज अ प्रोविजन ऑफ योर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन दैट बैकवर्डनेस ऑफ बेस्ड ऑन इकोनॉमिक स्टेटस इज ऑल्सो टू बी गिवन द रिजर्वेशन. सो ये चीज जो है यहाँ पे अलग है. तो इंदिरा सानी जजमेंट जब उस टाइम पे आया था, एट दैट टाइम हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में कोई भी ऐसा प्रोविजन नहीं था. दैट्स वाई इट वॉज डिक्लेयर्ड टू बी unconstitutional, because at that time as well the government of the day, they you can say provided the reservation to EWS. उस टाइम पे भी EWS को जो है रिजर्वेशन जो है उन्होंने प्रोवाइड करने की कोशिश की थी, बट दैट पास डिक्लेयर्ड टू बी अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बिकॉज हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में कोई भी ऐसा प्रोविजन नहीं था. बट हियर द गवर्नमेंट, द पार्लियामेंट कैरिड आउट द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अमेंडमेंट एक्ट. हमारे यहाँ पे अब कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को अमेंड किया गया, सो दैट्स वाई इट हैज बीन डिक्लेयर्ड टू बी valid. Okay, so they are saying that it is just the inclusion of additional layer of affirmative action, that you created another, you can say, category of weaker section and you provided affirmative action to them, so it is not violating the basic structure of your constitution. This is what the whole conclusion was about. So let's move to the next. आगे चलते हैं. So next editorial was regarding the autonomy, okay, autonomy of educational institution. Now you need to understand one thing. We do claim one thing, that in the ancient time, during the ancient time, we had lot of, you can see, universities, taksila, was there, Nalanda was there, okay, Udantpuri, lot of universities were there, lot of educational centers were there. One of the peculiar feature for the prosperity, or you can say effectiveness of those particular education centers were that they were quite autonomous in their operation. Education center जो है वो autonomous थे. There was no political interference at that particular time. So here this editorial is mentioning about one thing, that at present as well, if you want to have that glory in your higher education institution, that Indian educational institutions, they should be mentioned, they should have the global recognition, then we need to provide them with the autonomy to choose the curriculum that they will teach, the autonomy to choose the professors that they will have, and the government should not interfere in their action. This is the most important thing, and this is what has been mentioned here. So even the new education policy also talks about providing academic and administrative autonomy, that it is essential for the existence of these higher educational institutions. But the point is this, if the government is meddling in the appointment of vice chancellor, अगर वाइस चांसलर के अपॉइंटमेंट में और बाकी चीज़ों के अंदर पॉलिटिकल इंटरफेरेंस होगा, वी कैन नॉट एक्सपेक्ट थिंग्स टू इम्प्रूव इन दिस सिस्टम. हमारा एजुकेशन सिस्टम कभी भी इंप्रूव नहीं हो सकता है. नॉट ओनली दिस, यू हैव टू प्रोवाइड देम विद द फाइनेंशियल ऑटोनॉमी. अब देखिए एंशिएंट टाइम में क्या होता था, दीज पर्टिकुलर यूनिवर्सिटीज दे यूज्ड टू हैव ज्यूरिसडिक्शन ओवर मल्टीपल लैंड. बहुत सारे एग्रीकल्चरल लैंड की ज्यूरिसडिक्शन भी इन यूनिवर्सिटीज, इन एजुकेशन सेंटर्स के पास आ जाती थी. सो दे यूज्ड टू हैव देयर ओन सेल्फ सफिशिएंसी. वो अपने हिसाब से खुद चलते थे. दे यूज्ड टू बी फाइनेंशियली ऑटोनोमस इन दैट. ओके, दे वर नॉट डिपेंडेंट ऑन द ग्रांट्स फ्रॉम द थ्रोन. राजा से उनको ग्रांट्स की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती थी, उनका खुद का सिस्टम मैनेज होता था. सो सेम टाइप ऑफ सिस्टम वी नीड टू हैव एट प्रेजेंट. आज की डेट में भी उसी टाइप का सिस्टम हमें चाहिए. यू नीड टू प्रोवाइड देम विद द फाइनेंशियल autonomy. Okay, now we are providing the autonomy to them, but that doesn't mean that you are not regulating them. आपको regulate तो करना पड़ेगा. Okay, regulation, we are not saying that there should be zero regulation. Regulation in the sense you have to carry out the performance appraisal, whether these educational institutions are they performing up to the expectation or not. आपके expectation के according वो लोग खरे भी उतर रहे हैं कि नहीं, वो लोग perform कर भी रहे हैं कि नहीं. So you have to look into that aspect. Now for that they say that regulation should be there, but it should be light. So they are saying light but tight, in the sense that you can come out with the guidelines. Okay, and the best part of the guidelines is that you can expect the voluntary compliance. आप उनसे voluntary compliance की उम्मीद कर सकते हो. Okay, this is what you can do. In that case you will be able to maintain their autonomy, as well as they will be functioning as per the national expectation. वो national expectation के हिसाब से भी चल पाएंगे, और जो है आप उनको autonomy भी दे पाओगे. This is the way out that you can facilitate. So let's move to the other news. So we covered these particular things. ये सारी चीज़ें हमने cover की हैं. Okay, so this is the second page. Okay, and चलिए आगे चलते हैं. So again we'll move to the next. Okay, directly we'll move to the editorial section. So EWS verdict, discrimination antithetical to equality, we covered that. And this particular, you can say, ground zero, it is explaining about the reality of difficulties that are there in Kerala regarding abuse of drugs. Okay, so it has become a really problematic thing. Not only just Punjab, even the Kerala is facing this particular trouble, that is abuse of drugs. Now one thing that they are coming out is this, that majorly for the recreation purpose these type of drugs are used, but definitely it's a, you can say, it is going to have a bad impact on your society. उसका bad impact यहाँ पे ज़रूर देखने को मिल रहा है. Okay, so there are a lot of reasons for that. One of the reason could be that if you have unemployed youth, unemployed educated youth, okay, then it's a problematic task, because आप अगर job opportunities नहीं दे पा रहे हो, the state is going to be in a mess, and problems like drug abuse and other things, it will further increase. So right now what is happening in Kerala is that the economic development, the economic, you can say, growth is not optimum, so that it can match up to the expectation of the youth in that particular state. And Kerala, because its education system is quite good, they have educated youth, and educated youth, if not getting the employment opportunities, this will be the outcome, and this is going to be a disaster. So this is an eye opener for us that if we are not able to, you can say, handle these type of issues, then the demographic dividend that we talk about, जो भी आपका demographic dividend की बात करते हो, okay, that demographic dividend is going to end up in disaster. It is going to be a demographic disaster. Okay. Now, not only that, we do expect, Modi ji is saying that by 2030 or by say 2050, India will become a developed nation. हम developed nation बन जाएंगे, but ऐसे developed nation बनेंगे क्या? If the youth of this country, okay, is, you can say, going for drug abuse or drugs का consumption चल रहा है, so don't you think it will impact the productivity of the economy? आपके पूरी की पूरी इकोनॉमी की प्रोडक्टिविटी जो है वो यहाँ पे डाउन हो जाएगी, and if the productivity will be down, how can they contribute to the economic development of the nation? This is what we need to look into. So it's a larger picture. Okay, it's a larger picture. Lot of things have to be done at the government level, at the society level as well. It is not just the responsibility of the government, even the society needs to look into this particular problem, because without the support and action by the society, you cannot fight about these type of issues. आप इस type के issues के साथ deal नहीं कर सकते हो. Okay, so lot of effort needs to be done by the government there, and it's a serious issue. So ये आगे बढ़ते हैं. बाकी सबके लिए भी एक eye opener है. Okay, that if we are not able to provide jobs to the youth, this is what is going to happen. So on this page as well, there is nothing much, कुछ खास नहीं इधर. Okay, all political things are there. सिर्फ पॉलिटिकल चीज़ें हैं. ओके, रिकॉर्ड सीजर ऑफ कैश, लिकर, पोल बाउंड हिमाचल प्रदेश एंड गुजरात. नाउ दिस इज द सैड स्टेट ऑफ, यू कैन से, polls in this country, because your constitution says that there should be free and fair election. Okay, हमारे constitution के अंदर ये लिखा है, it is the responsibility of election commission of India to basically facilitate free and fair election. And the point is this, if this is the scene that you can say cash, liquor, money power, and these things are to be used by the politicians, it's a sad state, okay, that we are not able to deal with this issue yet. Election after election, these type of things are there, and if these practices will continue, we cannot expect clean politics. आप बिल्कुल clean politics जो है ये चीज expect नहीं कर सकते हो. And if we are not able to create this type of conducive environment by cleaning the politics, we should not expect youth to participate in political activities. Okay, because youth will only participate in the clean politics. Otherwise, the image of politics that we have in this country, कि ये तो कीचड़ है, ये तो दलदल है, it will remain as it is. So it is the responsibility of the politicians of the day to basically work on it. सुधारें अपने आप को. These type of practices they are just not going to damage their image, but overall scenario will be less, because this youth will never trust their politicians, and the youth will be alienated from the system. यही यूथ पूरे सिस्टम से एलियनेट हो जाएगा. ओके, एंड दिस इज व्हाट वी डोंट वांट, बिकॉज इफ दैट यूथ इज एलियनेटेड, दैट यूथ ऑन इन द फॉर्म ऑफ मोब विल बी लीडरलेस, अनगाइडेड. ओके, जब भी प्रोटेस्ट होगा ऐसे यूथ का, वो एक मॉब की शेप ले लेगा. देयर विल नॉट बी एनी लीडर, एंड दे विल नॉट इवन लिसन टू द पॉलिटिशियंस. जो पॉलिटिकल लीडर्स हैं वो बिल्कुल भी इनको नहीं सुनेंगे. ओके, यूथ पॉलिटिकल लीडर्स को नहीं सुनेंगे. दिस इज व्हाट हैज हैपेंड इन केस ऑफ हरियाणा ड्यूरिंग द रिजर्वेशन रिलेटेड प्रोटेस्ट. इट वाज अ लीडरलेस पीपल कैरिंग आउट प्रोटेस्ट्स, एंड इट वाज डिफिकल्ट फॉर द एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन टू मैनेज दैट टाइप ऑफ मॉब. उस मॉब को मैनेज करना बहुत डिफिकल्ट है जिसका कोई लीडर ना हो, क्योंकि यू रैंडमली पीपल आर देयर ऑन द स्ट्रीट, एंड द पॉलिटिशियंस ऑफ द डे, they were having no credibility that they can be on the ground and they can talk to the people, क्योंकि कोई credibility ही नहीं है. Youth were completely alienated from the existing leadership, political leadership of Haryana, and this had happened in this country. And again, that's why it is important that these practices needs to be stopped, so that people can develop trust on the system. Otherwise, ये outcome होता है जब लोग विश्वास नहीं करते हैं आपके system के ऊपर, and your system will not be able to regulate people if people are not having trust on the system. Okay, so this is what had happened in the Haryana, and we need to be, you can say, quite concerned about these developments. So it is really important that political class of this country, they should improve Now we'll move to the next. आगे चलते हैं. Courts must take up the civil suit against the hate speech. This is what the ex Supreme Court judge is saying. See, the point is, this problem with the hate speech is that it is not defined. Okay, कहीं ना कहीं ये defined नहीं है. And when it is not defined means there is no specific law. कोई specific law इसके लिए नहीं है. It is bit problematic. So here the Supreme Court, ex-Supreme Court judge is saying that if people are filing civil suits जहां पे भी फाइल होते हैं, एटलीस्ट दोज केसेस नीड्स टू बी टेकन ऑन प्रायोरिटी, क्योंकि उस केस में आप किसी को जेल तो शायद नहीं डालोगे, फाइन वगैरह इंपोज करोगे. सो दोज थिंग्स कैन बी टेकन अप. एंड अदर पॉइंट इज दिस, इन दैट केस द इम्पैक्ट विल बी रियली पॉजिटिव इन द सिस्टम के ऊपर इम्पैक्ट काफी अच्छा आएगा. ओके, दिस इज व्हाट द पॉइंट इज, because here with that you can ask people to follow their fundamental duties. So here we have this fundamental duties that every citizen honored the other citizen in the spirit of brotherhood, transcending the religion and other, you can say, tendencies. This is there in this, you can say, fundamental duty. We have to respect the diversity, brotherhood, fraternity. Okay, so it is the fundamental duty of abjuring violence, looking up to and respecting the country's composite culture, and this composite culture is crucial. Impact of hate speech on composite culture is negative. So whenever the court is getting a chance to improve this, it should be done. तो अगर कोई सिविल सूट आता है तो उस मैटर को जरूर वो टाइम पे लें. ओके, दिस इज व्हाट दैट पॉइंट इज. Here we have another, you can say, news related to langurs. Now it is saying that altitude decides what food they are going to consume. और ये एक वेरिएशन दिखा है, एक स्टडी है यहाँ पे. They are saying that these langurs are living in, you can say, Himachal Pradesh, in Himalayas, and they have shown a particular behavior. That behavior says that as the altitude changes, okay, as the altitude changes, their preference for fruit and flowers, it also changes. Means, in the sense, at a particular altitude, a particular langur, this particular species, will be eating, say, fruits. At the lower altitude, this particular langur may consume flowers, and this is what has been shown. They analyzed the, you can say, eating preferences of two groups of this langur. So it is the Himalayan grey langur, which is also known as Chamba sacred langur. Okay, it is a colobine. Colobine means leaf eating monkey. Okay, it is an endangered species, and majorly it is found in Kalatop Khajjar Wildlife Sanctuary. This Kalatop Khajjar Wildlife Sanctuary is located in Himachal Pradesh. Okay, so this is the prelim centric information that you have to note it down. ये prelims centric information है जो आपको note down करनी है. And the point is this, they are colobine, which means that they are leaf eating monkeys. Okay, वो पत्ते वगैरह खाते हैं, फूल वगैरह भी खा लेते हैं. So we need to be knowing this, ये चीज़ है. But उनके preference कैसे change हो रही है? Altitude के according. Okay, कम हाइट पे होंगे तो कुछ और खाएंगे, ऊपर की हाइट पे होंगे तो कुछ और खाएंगे. This is what this news was about. So let's look into this aspect. What have we covered so far? Okay, so ये हमने cover कर दिया है यहाँ पे. And Morbi Bridge tragedy has little political ramification for BJP. तो लोग शायद अभी भी BJP को ही वहाँ पे support करेंगे, ऐसा इनका मानना है. But you never know. You have to respect the outcome of democracy. It is up to the people there to decide what they want from the government. Okay, हम उसमें कुछ भी ऐसा खास कह नहीं सकते हैं. This is the beauty of democracy. People know what is good for them. So we took this particular thing. Supreme Court extends the protection for area around the Shivling. It is important because, like, you have to make this type of arrangement, otherwise the chances of communal clash is going to be there. तो chances हो सकते हैं कि वहाँ पे communal clash हो जाए. Okay, so you have to avoid any such, you can say, possibility, and it's a good thing that they are coming out with. Okay, revoke clearance for Great Nicobar Island project. So yes, this has become a major, you can say, issue here because it will damage the ecology of Nicobar. So government is already moving ahead with this particular project, that to develop that particular area into a hub, transportation hub. काफ़ी बड़ा transportation hub बनाने का plan चल रहा है. But the point is here is that it may impact the ecology of the region. Okay, वो सबसे बड़ा impact है यहाँ पे. So other than that, like, we have this thing on the world page Kherson is ours, says the Ukraine president as Russian forces retreat. It was another such event which shows that Putin is not, you can say, enjoying these type of development. And if you look into the press conference that was carried out, basically Putin was not present in that press conference. It was the defense minister and the general. They were making this statement that regretfully Russians have to move back to assure the safety of 30,000 Russian soldiers who were there in that Kherson province. Okay, so it's a very big win for the Ukrainians here, because this area was quite significant, because it was said that like by controlling the Kherson province, Russians might have, you can say, this particular goal of cutting off the Ukraine from the Black Sea. अब वो शायद नहीं हो पाएगा. So this is the development. Okay, but we have to wait and watch when this war is going to end. Putin is seriously not in a great position even within the Russian domestic politics. People, they are disillusioned with the Putin, the Russian leadership at present. तो शायद वो disillusioned हो गए हैं अपनी leadership से, and these developments are really not good for Putin. Okay, so strong image को एक बहुत बड़ा झटका मिला है यहाँ पे with this particular development, and he was not present there. Okay, because he wanted to maintain that image of strong man, और वापिस आ जाना तो बिल्कुल ही strong man के against जाता है. Okay, that was the point. So Yellen pushes for global cooperation on the regulation of cryptocurrency. So the point here is that multiple central banks, multiple governments, they have banned the trading in cryptocurrency. Okay, the point here is that still the trading is on despite the ban. So that's why the point is this: we have to cooperate. There need to be a global cooperation among different central banks to regulate the cryptocurrency. Unregulated cryptocurrency is not desirable because there are misuses associated with the cryptocurrency. बहुत सारे मिसयूज हो सकते हैं. ओके, टेरर फंडिंग के लिए आप क्रिप्टो करेंसी का यूज़ कर सकते हो, ट्रैफिकिंग की पेमेंट के लिए क्रिप्टो करेंसी का यूज़ हो सकता है. फ्लक्चुएशन इज़ रियली वेरी स्टीप, काफ़ी ज़्यादा फ्लक्चुएटिंग है, कभी प्राइस ऊपर कभी प्राइस नीचे. सो यू हैव टू, यू कैन से प्रोवाइड दीज टाइप ऑफ सेफ्टी नेट्स फॉर द पीपल. लोगों के लिए थोड़ा बहुत तो सेफ्टी नेट आपको प्रोवाइड करना पड़ेगा, बट फॉर दैट देयर नीड टू बी अ ग्लोबल कोऑपरेशन. सिर्फ अगर इंडिया अपने रेगुलेशन कर लेगा, दैट इज़ नॉट सफिशिएंट एट ऑल. People may still go ahead with the crypto trade. Okay, so ये चीज़ यहाँ पे लोग point out कर रहे हैं. So this is what the overall thing that we have in today's session. So that's it for the day then. Thank you very much.